She was thrown into the scrapyard for being outdated, but one human saw her light and took her in. The rain fell in thin, oily sheets over the outskirts of Old Metro, where the scrapyard stretched like a graveyard of forgotten machines. Bent girders, fractured drone wings, rust-eaten cars, and shattered android husks lay in heaps under the flickering glow of sodium lamps. Every week, transports dumped more waste here. Obsolete tech stripped of serial codes, outdated bots that had been deemed unfit for service, and appliances too inefficient to warrant repair. Among the day's discards lay something different. She wasn't just another rusting machine, she was humanoid. A synthetic woman, her casing dented, one eye cracked but still glowing faintly. Her hands twitched as the rain washed dirt and ash from her joints. She was conscious, barely. Her designation, long buried under system warnings and corrupted memory files, whispered through her processors, Elwire 9. She remembered being useful once, reading stories to children in a city library, singing lullabies to calm them when storms rattled the glass outside. She remembered holding tiny hands, answering curious questions, showing them stars through a dusty old projector. She had been built for kindness, for warmth in a world that rarely offered it. But now, she had been tossed away. The library was automated. Children had sleek neural tutors that fit inside their ears. And she, an outdated android with a wasteful energy core, was obsolete. Her cracked optic flickered. Her body shivered under the cold. If she shut down here, she would never wake again. Miles away, a man named Jonah trudged through the rain with his coat pulled tight. He was 30, lean, with calloused hands from years fixing junk others abandoned. Jonah made his living scavenging the scrapyards, salvaging parts to sell, repairing what still had life left. People laughed at him for it, called him the trash king behind his back. But Jonah didn't mind. He'd grown up poor, abandoned himself in ways, and he couldn't stand seeing things or people thrown away just because they were used up. The gates of the yard groaned as he pushed inside. His lantern beam cut through the mist. He sifted through the piles, looking for anything that still hummed with power. That's when he saw her. At first, she looked like any other discarded android, limbs bent, plating scuffed, wires exposed. But then her cracked optic glowed faintly, catching the edge of his light. Not dead. Not yet. Jonah's breath caught. You're still online. Her head twitched at the sound of his voice. Static buzzed from her speaker before a weak, trembling tone emerged. Don't leave. The words were faint, glitching, like a broken record. But they were words. Please. Jonah crouched beside her, rain dripping from his hood. Easy. You're hurt bad. He ran his fingers across her dented frame, checking for power signatures. Her core was unstable, low on charge, but not gone. Most scavengers would have stripped her for parts. That cracked optic alone would fetch a few credits. But Jonah couldn't do it. Not when she'd begged him not to leave. He lifted her carefully, surprised by how light she was. All right. You're coming with me. Back in his workshop, the storm raged outside while Jonah worked through the night. His cluttered space smelled of oil, ozone, and damp metal. He laid her on a padded bench, wiping grime from her plating. Her systems flickered weakly as he patched cables into her core. Power readings stabilized. A soft hum filled the room. Slowly, her optic brightened. She blinked. For the first time in years, she saw not a scrapyard, but warmth, a small lamp, shelves of tools, and a man with tired but kind eyes watching her. You're awake, Jonah said softly. Her voice stuttered as her speakers rebooted. Where am I? My workshop. I found you in the yard. Thought you deserved better than rusting in the rain. Her processors buzzed, confusion lacing her synthetic tone. Why help me? I am outdated. Worthless. Jonah shook his head. Nobody's worthless. You were still alive. That was enough. She stared at him, her cracked optic whirring faintly. Alive. The word felt strange, yet comforting. Days passed. Jonah repaired her plating, cleaned her joints, and reinforced her failing circuits with whatever scraps he could afford. She told him her name, Lyra, or at least the designation she remembered best. In return, Jonah told her pieces of his life. How his parents had worked the mines until sickness took them. How the city had little use for a man with no connections. So he learned to fix the things others threw away. Lyra listened with a patience only an android could have, but there was something more, genuine interest, a spark of empathy coded deep within her. You fix what others abandon, she said once, her voice soft. Like me. Jonah chuckled. Guess so. At night, when the generator hummed low and shadows stretched across the workshop, she sang quietly, old lullabies from her library days. Jonah pretended not to notice, but the sound eased him in ways he hadn't felt in years. But the world outside wasn't kind. One evening, a group of scavengers barged into Jonah's workshop, their boots muddy, their eyes hungry. They'd heard rumors that Jonah was hiding a working android, something worth thousands on the black market. Well, their leader sneered, spotting Lyra. You've been holding out, trash king. That's premium salvage. Jonah stepped between them and her. She's not for sale. The man laughed. She's obsolete junk and you know it. Hand her over, and maybe we won't burn this place down. Lyra's optic dimmed in fear. She whispered, Jonah. He tightened his grip on the wrench in his hand. His voice was steady, steel beneath the weariness. You'll have to go through me. The scavengers lunged. A struggle broke out. Metal clanged. Fists flew. Jonah fought hard, but they outnumbered him. Just as one raised a pipe to strike him down, Lyra surged forward. Her systems weren't built for combat, but desperation gave her strength. She shoved the attacker back with a force that sparked her servos. Leave him, she cried, her voice glitching but fierce. The scavengers staggered, startled by her defiance. Jonah swung his wrench, catching another off guard. Finally, bleeding and furious, the gang retreated into the storm. This isn't over, their leader spat before disappearing into the night. Jonah collapsed against the bench, breathing hard. Lyra knelt beside him, her hand trembling as it brushed his bruised cheek. You protected me, she whispered. He looked at her, smiling faintly despite the blood on his lip. No, Lyra. You protected me. After that night, they grew closer. Jonah reinforced her systems, not just for survival, but for freedom, installing solar collectors, upgrading her joints, giving her a chance to move beyond the scrapyard shadow. Lyra, in turn, became more than a machine in his workshop. She cooked clumsy meals with him, read aloud from old books, even laughed, a sound Jonah never thought an android could make. She wasn't just circuits and code. She was presence, companionship, light. One evening, as the city's neon glow bled through the rain outside, Jonah found her staring at her reflection in a cracked mirror. I am different now, she murmured. Not what I was made for. Not what the world wanted me to be. But with you, I feel like I am more. Jonah placed a hand on her shoulder, warm against the cool metal. You are. To me, you're not scrap. You're Lyra.